Welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Thanks for joining us. We have a show filled with joy and surprises. Meet Nate and his family. When they were at their lowest, strangers lifted them to their highest. Plus, step right up under the big top. Circus-filled fun to fight breast cancer. Then Dr. Nick on the surprising reasons we can't let go of our hurt feelings by those who love us most. And more importantly, how to change it. But first, the little boy who got the surprise of a lifetime and whose life could end at any minute. Life's been a roller coaster for 7-year-old Nate. The day before he was born, doctors told Savannah her son had an enlarged heart. After birth, the diagnosis was worse.
They told us he had cardiomegaly, arteriovenous malformation, and an AVM tumor.
Ooh, did you have to get out the dictionary and say, what are all those things?
I had no clue what it was. It's crazy.
And as a mom, you were terrified.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What was the treatment?
There was none. There was nothing they can do when he was born because, of course, he was too small.
It's a rare genetic disease doctors know little about. At a year old, Nate had his first aneurysm.
One of his aneurysms started hemorrhaging, so we did what they call a coiling. Then they put in 16 platinum wires.
Oh. In a 1-year-old?
Yes.
It was a treatment, not a cure. Doctors warned Savannah Nate could have a fatal aneurysm any day.
There's nothing they can do. We had conference after conference with doctors, and there's no doctors that can even give us a future care plan.
Doctors did give Nate physical restrictions.
He can't get hot. He can't do nothing that raises the heart rate because it sends blood flow and sometimes can cause migraines. He can't play no sports. He can't do anything that causes extraneous activities.
And that's hard for a little boy.
Oh, Lord, you have no idea how hard it is to keep that kid down sometimes.
Last year, a tumor in Nate's neck grew larger. In May, doctors tried to surgically remove it.
We went in because he had the AVM tumor was protruding on the neck. So we went in to try to fix it, and it was unsuccessful because it's just millions of little vessels around his artery. And that's when they realized that his aneurysm had a leak.
There was nothing doctors could do for the aneurysm either.
If we go further with surgeries, he stands the 50% chance of total deficits and 50% chance of death.
Oh. So you live with this fear, right, that an aneurysm would happen at any moment?
Right.
Since his first birthday, Nate's had a passion for race cars and the Wild West.
He's always had a love for the older movies like Gunsmoke, John Wayne, Dukes of Hazzard. He's always had a love for that kind of stuff. And anything Western and anything race cars, you can book it. He's gonna love it.
Nate's tried to meet some of his TV heroes.
Always wanted to meet the Dukes of Hazzard. We would go to their like a little events, but we never got to meet them because Nate can't stand in those lines. It's so hot.
When John Schneider got wind of that, he put the pedal to the metal.
He started to cry. He was a little scared right at first. You know, people are. They get a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There's the car, and there's the guy driving the car on my television.
When Bo pulled up in the driveway and he was in that General Lee, Nathan lost it. He got behind me and he started crying. It was so sweet.
Oh.
It was really sweet.
And why do you think he was crying?
I think he was nervous.
Oh.
He didn't know what to say or what to do.
Have you ever seen your son like that?
No, he was just, I think it was happiness and anxiety and nerves all at one, and he didn't know what to do. It was sweet.
Ready? 1, 2, ho! Up you go.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
We got in the car and backed out of his driveway and hauled butt down the road, and within, I don't know, not even a quarter of a mile, he was kind of out of his mom's lap and looking around, and had him steer a little bit, and I pressed the horn button again, and we peeled out and just had a really nice time. We took a drive around that area. Tried not to get arrested because, you know, nobody knew we were there.
Right.
So that'd
Sure
be
you weren't doing the speed limit.
No, absolutely not. No, was not doing the speed. And General Lee? What?
You can't.
What? You
Not
can't.
possible.
You can't do. We didn't jump anything though. This is for you. This is me when I was young and pretty. And this is cool. This is an official Dukes of Hazzard hat with a medal.
Then Nate gave John something too.
Woo, what you got there? He went inside and he got his guitar and then he came out and he played the Duke song and sang the Duke song.
Making their way.
The only way they know how. It was really fantastic. And as fantastic for me, really, as it was for him.
Yeehaw!
All right, now you ready for mine? You ready? It's pretty loud. It could hurt your ears.
The story could have ended here, but it doesn't.
Nate has a condition that has too many syllables to even say. And one of his dreams was to go to Disney World. So his dream was to meet Bo. It was great. So second to Bo was the mouse. And when we heard that, we had to do something about it.
So John, along with total strangers, donated money and sent Nate's family on their first trip to Disney World. Nate can't fly because of his aneurysm, so John's assistant, Trent, drove them in John's SUV limousine.
Everybody give me a good thumbs up. Ready to go. Going to Disney! Holla, Daddy!
The kids was in heaven.
Oh my God.
It was awesome.
I bet Mom was too.
Yeah, I was. I laid up there with my earphones on, taking pictures the whole time. Name many times you get to experience a trip like that.
Disney, 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 Disney.
You know, we country bumpkins, we're not. Never nothing like that.
The trip was just what this family needed. The previous week, Savannah's husband was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer.
It happened at the best time because, you know, we was getting bad news with Nate, was getting bad news with my husband, so we needed that. And I feel like John was there to pick us back up, you know, make us strong again.
That's that pendulum thing again. You know, something not so great is happening over here. Well, if you're aware of it, do something. If you can do something, it might just be a smile. It might be a donut, right? It might be a ride in the General Lee. It might be a trip to Disney World. You don't know what it is. It might be tuning a young man's guitar, fishing. Don't know, but if you get quiet, I think there's a lot of information floating around here in the air if you pay attention to it. Stop making noise, stop filling up the silence with your own voice, and see what it is you're supposed to do, and then see if you have the guts to do it. Yeah, I'm so glad we did that.
He is definitely one of the most kindest people I've ever met in my life. What he did for me and my family is magical.
This is a tremendous amount of stuff that has been poured on this family. It's nice to be part of the smile pictures in their album.
God sent. It couldn't have come at a better time, for sure.
And what do you do going forward with Nate's unknown medical future?
Honestly, I'm just going to take it day by day and wake up every day and thank God that I have him and pray for another day.
Flat in the hills,
Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will. Right?
Incredible spirit. We will keep Nate in our prayers and hope that you will too. And still ahead, a new way to fight breast cancer under the big top. Then Dr. Nick on how our hurt feelings today might be junk from the past and how to move forward despite it as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Breck's Liberty Lagoon Water Park is open for fun in the sun. Conveniently located in Baton Rouge's Mid-City, Breck's Liberty Lagoon is a great way to beat the summer heat. Make a splash on the water playground, surge through water slides, cruise the lazy river, and shred some waves on the Shockwave surfing simulator before crashing under the shade of our Coolbrellas. You can even rent a pavilion for your next birthday party and register for swim lessons. For more information on how to make Breck's Liberty Lagoon Water Park your ultimate summer destination, visit libertylagoon.com.
Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. Step right up and see how big wigs under the big top are helping fight breast cancer. It was a fun-filled night that included aerialists, jugglers, games, and much more, all to fight a serious disease. Breast cancer. In only its second year, local celebrities wigged out, and this year's newest bigwigs were revealed.
There's only two types of people in the world. The ones that entertain and the ones that observe. Well, baby, I'm a put on a show kind of girl. Don't like the back seat, gotta be first. I'm like the ringleader. The shots. I'm like a firecracker. I make it hot when I put on.
All had a few tricks up their sleeves, or in Laura O'Brien's case, under her skirt.
When they asked me, one person came to mind, a girl from Zachary, our hometown, and she really means a lot to a lot of people. So I felt like it was just a no-brainer. Any little bit that I can put forth, like doing my part.
In the fight against breast cancer, they channeled their inner circus performer. Restaurateur Jim Urdialis of Mestizos sported a chef's jacket painted by his friend artist Tony Mose. Tony's wife is now battling breast cancer.
We just forget that sometimes it's a whole family that gets involved in this, and they go through this year-long journey. And then even after it, God bless if they go through and the treatment's well, then they go through this 5-year cycle where they have to wait and make sure that it doesn't reoccur and come back. So I think it's important for all of us to realize that this is something that affects a lot of people, men and women in the community. And so I think it's important for us to raise enough money as we can to just help and do what we can in this community.
Ringmaster Chris Cangelosi knows what a fight beating cancer is.
Myself had cancer, but not breast cancer, but I've had several friends that have had breast cancer, and you know, having cancer and going through it myself with radiation and chemotherapy, I know what it's all about. And you know, it's a great time to fundraise and get this cure, suck it out and kill it. And I understand what it's about, and I'm all about, you know, helping everyone.
Bigwig event chairman Stephanie Posa pulled the idea of a circus-filled fundraiser right out from under her hat.
It's a unique event. There's nothing else like it around here. It's fresh, it's new, and we think Baton Rouge is really going to respond.
Their goal through the Susan G. Komen Foundation is to reduce breast cancer deaths by 50% over the next 10 years. Each Bigwig's online fundraising efforts the next 2 weeks will help do that.
What's great about Komen is they are a national outfit. However, we have a Baton Rouge affiliate here, right here in Baton Rouge. 75% of the funds stay here in our community. And it's not just East Baton Rouge, they go to neighboring parishes as well. So the money that you're donating is helping people in our community right here.
For everyone here, that's something to sing about. The Big Wigs are raising funds through August the 4th. If you would like to donate to your favorite Big Wig, you can check it out at ColemanBatonRouge.org. And still ahead, Dr. Nick lets us know why our hurt feelings run so deep and new ways to get over it as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
9-time winner of the prestigious Buick GMC Mark of Excellence Award. Do you ever get into an argument, a dispute with your partner, and it's just hard to let go? Like you make up, but then you're still mad? And you think, okay, water under the bridge, let's move forward, but there's something inside of you that just wants to grab hold of that anger and maybe let it fester a little more than it should. Dr. Nick joins us this morning with great ideas on how to get out of it. Great to see you.
Good morning, Whitney.
Well, I'm stunned. The big shocker in this for me was that it's not about the person that you're arguing with.
That's the big awakening that couples need to have. And I'm not talking about just if you do something that annoys me, and then okay, I'm sorry, or I let that go. Yeah, I'm in a bad mood. It's that kind of holding on to the blame, and not letting go of the blame, or making again general statements like, "Gosh, you're so inconsiderate. You're so unaffectionate," or you're so. That's when I think the person accusing.
Okay.
That's when they need to look at that other possible form of projection, which is, it's not necessarily that I'm inconsiderate, because that's usually what projection is.
Right.
I'm putting on you what I'm experiencing.
What I am, sure.
This article that I read was saying that a lot of times we're projecting from the past. That maybe we didn't get a lot of consideration or attention or affection, or we've had bad experiences, or we've not even let go of things that have happened, and they're still rumbling. And who's going to catch it? The person most significant, most available.
Yes, the person in your life, especially if they mirror those same kind of things. Like I felt neglected growing up, and I feel neglected because you're not paying enough attention, or you're not in control of the finances, or whatever.
Yes, but then let's add another dimension that the article doesn't talk about, but I'm fascinated with, and that's the tit for tat. It's like, well, you're not considerate. Well, you're not affectionate. And then you start playing the game of, well, I remember when you did this. Well, I remember when you did that. And so you're never really living in the moment. Right? You're always, and then it becomes just nothing but a war of, are you not listening to me? This is my time to talk about how I felt in that particular moment, or when that happened. I need to let it go, but could we just stay here and not go into your stuff? Okay. You see how that connects with the projection?
I do.
We both people start getting into old stuff coming out.
And that's my huge question is, how do we keep from unearthing the old stuff?
Well, I don't want to push the therapy, but that's when you have someone in your life, be it a therapist or maybe a good friend or a spiritual director, someone's helping you ask the question, where may that be coming from? It's one of my standard lines. Does it sound old? Does it feel old? Does it have memories of something that's yet unresolved? And then what do you basically do? You resolve it by accepting it. Accepting that past, accepting that scar, accepting that maybe you didn't get enough attention, or there was a lot of neglect, or you were from a single home, a single mother home who's working 2 or 3 jobs.
Sure.
And so you want to be aware of it, and then you can start saying, that's what it's coming from. Let me get in the moment. Let me get in the moment. And then age starts coming in.
Sure.
I'm 62 now, I'm not 15.
And I don't have to always feel that way.
I don't have to feel that way.
I think that's fascinating, because I never thought, like, if someone has, I'm going to use the word, felt neglected.
Okay.
and they're 60 years old, that they have been carrying that feeling forever. Okay, after 60 years, how do you dump the feeling? I mean,
Yes.
I understand you said acceptance.
Yes.
But still, like, it's just it's so much of you.
Yeah, it is, Whitney, but here's where I get very positive too. I just think that we can unlearn and we can learn. We can say, almost laugh at ourselves and say, wow, that's where it's coming from. But the here and now becomes, again, there are many times you haven't neglected me. You, meaning the person I'm in the relationship with, and you start seeing differently.
Okay.
That maybe one instance of neglect doesn't mean it's a pattern.
I like that. I like that, because that's doable.
Don't you, I mean, we're very confessional with each other. I'm sure there have been times when, as a mother, you thought, oh my God, all this work or all this is, am I neglecting my children? That doesn't mean that you're living in a pattern of neglect.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that they necessarily have to assume that you are. And that's where the clarity comes into play. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to neglect you, or I know that consideration is important to you. That's what the partner can do. That's where the partner can help.
Okay,
I know that that's a kind of a love language almost for you.
Sure.
Is that you need appreciation.
Right. And consideration, wow. That's
Consideration.
a huge one, right? Don't we want that from everyone in our lives?
Sure. And when we don't, and when we're not necessarily getting it, rather than internalizing that as you don't care for me or you don't love me or you don't ever see me, we get clarification by even stating, I'm feeling this. Okay, well, let me get clear about what your reasoning is, because the partner didn't necessarily intend to neglect or be inconsiderate.
Sure.
There are a lot of things we carry on our plate.
There are.
Lot
Not necessarily.
Yeah, and a lot of these things that we carry on our plate are all good things. So they come into conflict.
Explain.
Let's say we've got a couple that's a two working household. Okay. And so they've each got lots and lots on their plate, and then you got children. Or even if it's a single mother household and you have children, there are lots of decisions that have to be made. I have to get this done because I do need to make enough money to pay the rent. I'm a single mother. I'm not intending to neglect you.
Right. But
I
have the second job.
And I know that the single mother, or even the parent are going through conflict.
Always. Sure.
And saying which decision do I make? You know, do I change this? Do I change this segment because my daughter's sick?
Right. Right.
It's a conflict of two goods. My daughter's sick and I need her attention, but I also need to do this segment.
Which is what we were facing right before we started.
Really? Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, I need to call the doctor. Well, just got a sore throat, and she just got back from camp, and some of her people in her cabin had bronchitis. Now, she just started feeling badly about 4 or 5 hours ago, so... But yeah.
But that's a great example. but that's a great example. And what's really important is for Sydney Joy to know, although she probably does, baby, I'm not neglecting you. I'm gonna get this.
Yes.
I've got this.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take a few minutes.
For the moment, it's like I can't just completely drop everything.
Yes.
Unless
it's really serious.
Of course.
And that's what I just think, this notion of pulling out stuff that's old. And beginning, this is what I love about when I work with people, is finding out where it's coming from. Because very often it's coming from somewhere else. And when the spouse hears that, then the spouse, husband or wife, can say, oh my gosh, it's not about me.
Yeah.
I've been taking it personally.
When I was inconsiderate, it just unearthed all that.
It unearthed all that, so I need to be sensitive to it.
Well, and hey, if I don't want that reaction, maybe I'll just be better. And not do that again.
And just quickly, this is where I think sometimes marriages are destructive to each other. If the spouse knows what triggers, and they just want to trigger for the sake of triggering, and it has happened. Of course it can happen. And that's why it's not just an awareness, it's like we know how to get back at someone if we're mad. If mom was going to come in, let's say working hard, mom was going to come in at 6 to do dinner, she doesn't make it to 8. and the husband's furious and he says nothing about it, carries it internally because it's old stuff. She catches it later in the week.
Right.
And she's like, well, it was just one time.
Yeah.
But the internal trigger, now I'm not saying she did it on purpose,
Of
you know,
course.
but if it's done on purpose, then we really do have to call it out and say what's going on here that you're trying to hurt each other or you're trying to hurt. Because again, the whole notion of relationships is to bring out the best in each other.
Yeah.
And we know how to bring out the worst.
I know. It's such a double-edged sword.
It is, but the awareness is important, and then we move into the choice of, no, that's not who I am.
True. And then I just love that projecting in from the past, right? I haven't made that connection. I'm gonna next time I'm feeling certain emotions, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go back and
ask
figure out
yourself where you know, and it probably is old. If it's that strong of an energy.
Yeah.
If it's not that strong of an energy, then it's
Sure. Right, but if it's a common emotion that I feel with, of course, with several people that I love, then you're right.
yeah, and it just kind of takes over you. Then you've got to wonder, okay, what's going on here that's keeping me from living in the moment and seeing this person as he or she is, and not as I want them to be for me, to clean up my past.
Right. Wow, that's a lot.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And we don't need to get too heavy with it, but it is doable. That's where the reflective process comes in. And again, we live in such a fast society, we don't stop long enough to think sometimes about how am I acting.
It was what we were talking about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
To take that time, you must recenter every day.
Yes, and every day recommit to
You're right.
bringing out the best.
Right. Dr.
Good to see you, Whitney.
More of Weekends with Whitney after this. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Thanks for joining us for Weekends with Whitney. We hope to see you back here again next week. Until then, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This morning, we leave you with this.